Okay, we're live. I already got one in the room. So, there's a lot going on with this mess. And I thought I was going to have to actually turn my phone off and come back. But it gave me signal. So, appreciate you people showing up. I'm going to give a few seconds for some people to come into the room. There's a lot more to this whole thing. Yeah, here. Thank you, JD. I knew that was you. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody that shows up and checks out what I'm doing. I've got some a little bit of a disclosure about myself so that you better understand that what I'm saying, it's not that I'm trying to say that my word carries weight or that I'm an authority on the subject. However, I've hauled this nasty shit. I've taken it to plants safely, and I had to completely suit up. And there's people out there that are being affected by this chemical. These chemicals displace oxygen. They have this evil or magical or whatever you want to call it way of making all oxygen leave. It's almost like a magnet repelling another magnet that has a similar pole, you know. Diametric opposition, don't know what you would want to call it. Somehow at the chemical level, this stuff expands and it pushes out oxygen. There's no oxygen to be had with this stuff. You can get a gas mask because later you're going to need it. You listen to what I'm saying? Later you're going to need it. You're going to need it. Get ready for the black rain, people. I'll do a video a few days. It's going to come down. You know, I've already named it. Black rain cometh. If you think I'm lying, I'm telling you that what goes up must come down. If that's simple enough for you to understand. And if it's simple enough for you to understand it right now, it's bad stuff. It's going to be worse. Because right now it's all in the clouds. Yeah, black rain, interesting. Yeah, listen to what I'm saying. If you are first off, if anybody that's in the president's earshot gets him information, he needs to be speaking with the chemists, not me. You don't need to be listening to me, people. I'm just an old man. I'm just a truck driver. Okay? I mean, yeah, look, I was going to bring this up too. I will say this. You know, I showed you my book the other day that I go by. That's the 2012. That's the one I told you I ripped, right? And I got a new one. Well, here's my new one. Okay? So I know a little something, right? This ain't my first day on this earth. I've been doing this shit since I had this one. This is the old one. So I know what I'm talking about, people. Okay? See, 2012, 2004, the old version. The only people that's got that is people that's been doing it that long. I used to have to suit up, and they're putting these people out there. I'm going to read a couple comments because you threw up a couple. Start all over again. Tell us from the beginning, okay? Let's see. Where did this all start? Oh, okay. Well, Deer Park, Texas. I can start you there. Deer Park, Texas had a fire. It won't let me upload thumbnails, but it was called a plant explosion, but it's a chemical leak is what it is, and it's into the air, and that's it right there. And you can look up Deer Park fire, Deer Park explosion, Deer Park chemical leak, Deer Park, Texas, or Houston, Texas, or smoke plume, or anything you want to hashtag. I've put it on Twitter. I've put it also on YouTube on a couple of videos, and I did one in Spanish with a friend of mine. Okay, I drove all the way to damn Wisconsin. I wasn't even trying to mess with Wisconsin no more. I drive all the way up here because I've got a buddy of mine. I went in and took that load. I got a buddy of mine up here that I knew would translate for me. You see how important this is? Listen, here's what I'm saying. I'm going to go back into my chemical stuff. When I used to bring the tankers to those places down there on that same complex, all around there, right off Independence, all those places down there. See, they get it in off a tanker. The petroleum, but then they need chemicals, okay? And the chemicals come by tanker truck, and we fill up their tanks. I mean, they're looking at 330,000 tons in a super tanker of petroleum. They offload that through the pipes that go to the tank. Hold on, JD made a comment. By the way, nice hat. I have one like it, different but same camo and brim, but no slug slots. Yeah, these are not for slugs. These, I'll tell you what this is, and there's a reason this hat's up here. It's what you need when the rain comes. You're gonna have to keep it off of you. You're gonna need something, and this is just an example. you could put a plastic Walmart bag around it so it won't get saturated. But I'm telling you, this is a this loop right here is for camouflage. And you know, a ghillie suit, is so that you can go and detect it in grass and stuff. It's got all kinds of flaps hanging off of it. These are loops so that you can put branches and brush from the terrain that's naturally around you and sticking up, and then you can lay down in the grass and it looks like you're just another weed in the grass. Okay, so let's see, hold on, I got a couple of comments. I worked I worked, I think he put in Louisiana, and saw its engineering and minted terminals and docks up and down the coast. It's not all petroleum. A major export is ethanol. Yeah, yeah, and the joke about that from tankers is that for every gallon of ethanol, it takes a gallon of diesel fuel to make it. So, but anyways, we're gonna get into this real quick. I'm gonna have to, yeah. ILA, longshoremen. Oh, ILA, longshoremen. Oh, okay, I got you. So look, I'm gonna have to not be you can make comments if you want. Go ahead and blow it up, but I'm gonna have to not be distracted from those for a second while I tell you what I was trying to say here. So I'll get to the comments in a second. Go ahead and make as many as you want. I'll read them in a second. So here's what I'm saying. When you're delivering to a plant like that, you have to have on rubber boots that are chemical boots. You have to have on chemical gloves. You got to have a full chemical suit, which is really, really thick denier rubber material, and you want to put the sleeves on first and the gloves on afterwards, so they come up over the sleeves, and then you wrap that and tape the section with chemical tape, not electrical tape, chemical tape. Okay, then you put on, you know, your pants and top. The pants are actually overalls, and then the jacket comes over, and then you pull your neck up, and then you put on a hard hat and safety goggles, not glasses. That's what I was going to show you. Is at the very minimum, if you're messing with this stuff, that you're going to have rain come down, you're going to need some kind of glasses that have some kind of a seal. This is not a good example because it has gaps in it, but the problem is they're going to fog up. You need to get you some goggles if you're going to be even, like, I'm being honest with you, some kind of a Tilly hat. You could take one of these hats and put a plastic bag around the top of it and tuck it under, and just keep it in your car for when this black rain stuff happens, because I'm telling you what's going to happen ahead of time. I can tell you a lot of this stuff that's going to happen. But right now, they're having problems where people have complained about their breathing. Let's see. You wear the same PPE in high school chem lab. The PPE is standard at most work sites. Thanks, OSHA. Yeah, so, and it's good protective equipment, but you're not going to walk around with a rubber suit in your car, and those things cost thousands of dollars. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to give them a heads up. Some kind of a jacket that's waterproof, that's long sleeve. I would keep all this stuff in your car, because when that rain happens, I mean, these people are staying in this area. They really need to evacuate. It's my personal opinion, they need to, the president needs to talk to some of the chemists that make the chemicals and say, what would you say to do? Because these people that are going on TV, they're not even, at this point, they're not even covering their own ass. I'll tell you what they're doing. They've already been informed of what's going to happen, and they had no idea. Some of these people are just secretaries, this and that, or whatever. Okay, so, well, back to the PPE, and I'll get into that. All right, so I would say, like I said, you want some kind of goggles that go around and a breather. It's a respirator. You need to go look on PPE websites for chemical. You need a chemical respirator is what it's called. It's not a full SCBA. Let's see, I think you're overreacting, my guy. I live here and it's not that serious. Okay, well, I'm gonna tell you, where you're at may not be that serious right now. It hadn't come down. There's all those metric tons of that stuff in the air, and you're gonna start seeing black pieces of, not gravel, it looks like coal. It's gonna fall from the sky. Okay, this stuff is gonna be as big as some golf balls. It's not that it's going to cause so much damage, it's just heavier than air. What has happened is the heat has been so hot it made it rise, because hot air rises. Then that stuff coalesces and gets together, and it's going to come down. But what didn't come down as a solid is going to come down, and it still is a gas because it's unburnt. That stuff wouldn't be so black if it was fully burned. You understand? The exhaust emissions from that stuff, it didn't all burn. It took it up with it. So all those gases are going to come back down just like acid rain, only in a different way. Okay, so let me get into it and you'll understand what I'm saying. Okay. No, I think that the president needs to talk to, wait, let's see. You're aware it went out last night? Yeah, I know it did. I'd be more concerned about the runoff pouring into the channel. No, I'm not as concerned with the runoff pouring into the channel for actually people, unless they're out there fishing and trying to eat that fish. I'm more concerned with their breathing. Just hold tight. I'm going to have to stay on this. Like I said, I think that the president should get in touch with the chemists who made this stuff and ask them what's going to happen when that rain comes down and what kind of a breathing problem. Because here's why. And then they'll tell him they need to evacuate Houston. That's where I'm at. You think I'm overreacting? Wait till the black rain comes. Because it's going to affect these people, but it's not just going to affect them for the day. It's not going to be like, I'm having a hard time breathing, but tomorrow's better. It eats your lungs. Okay? I had a friend of mine who used aircraft cleaner is what it's called. Okay? Let's see, he put benzene burns have happened before. Yeah, it's what it is. It's toluene is the worst that I would say. They make paint thinner, glue, and nail polish out of toluene. Okay? And people are having breathing problems right now. One guy said that on a comment, he said, I was taking my wife out of here because she was already having a problem breathing. And while we were leaving, my daughter's nose started bleeding. Okay? Another guy said that he was having a hard time breathing last night. He's like, last night was rough. They're telling him to shelter in place, and I'm telling you that's bullshit. They're staying in a house, and you're getting less of the effects of it because you have a filter in your house. However, the gas is still getting in your house. Your house is not airtight unless you duct tape it and put plastic around it. And then even then, you're getting stale air. Listen to what I'm saying, and it has been affected since you opened the front door. That stuff displaces and pushes away oxygen. It has a effect like that. It's hard to explain. I don't know how to better explain except that it evacuates all oxygen from the area. And then you're left with the gas. When it comes down with the rain is going to bring it back down, people. That's tons and tons of that stuff up there. Have you ever seen, you can't imagine weight because you look up and you think, how is it heavier than air? But it's up there. Imagine a volcano. Imagine Mount Vesuvius. Imagine like Pompeii. All those people died instantly from the heat, right? It was a pyroclastic cloud that came down the mountain. Okay, that was from the heat. This is different, but in the same way that a volcano makes all that ash go up and it weighs a lot, tons of it, it's going to come down. All right, let's see here. Not exactly, it evacuates oxygen by being dense and staying low to the ground. It's not low to the ground right now, brother, is it? It's in the sky. So hear what I'm saying. Gasoline stays low to the ground about a foot. That's why you want to have a 2 foot tall, its legs or whatever, like a stand for a gas water heater in your house. He put, it burned. It's not all burned. It's not even close to all burned. It was not a clean burn. You ever had a car that had a bad spark plug and it was the same gas, but it doesn't clean burn? Hang on a second here. Therefore, it's no longer toluene. No, it's toluene. Okay, I'm going to get into what I'm saying. I'll get your comments in a second. So, in the same way that a volcano can push heavy stuff up, and in the same way that the ash falls down, it's going to fall down. It's going to come down as black rain. And the gas is going to come back down with it. A lot of that gas is unburnt in the same way as if you have a car that's either out of timing or that's got a bad spark plug. It'll push the gas out the back and it'll go up in the air, but it'll be black, even though you had good gas. Okay? It was unburnt. If it's that black, it's unburnt. So I'm going to go further. All right. So you need to have some long sleeves. You need to have some safety glasses of some sort. Goggles are best. A breather, you can get a breather because it's not, even if it's not affecting you at this second, it's going to come down. They're talking about they close schools, then they open schools. And yes, they put the fire out, but they brought in a crack team from Louisiana. And that team of crack firefighters, that hotshot team out of there, they came up there and they were made to offensively fight fires. Now, nothing away from the the fire department in Deer Park, they were doing a really great job of keeping it from. It did spread to the eighth tank, but to stop it from burning up the whole farm and the whole complex and everybody in the other businesses and full meltdown, they stopped it. They did good, but they needed help from guys who were used to doing this kind of stuff. So they went in there and they took out the fire. They started fighting it. Instead of defensively, they started fighting it offensively, and they took it down. So take a drink of water real quick. So anyways, the chemicals that are involved here are xylene, which is a solvent, okay? They make it from petroleum, but once they turn into a solvent, it's a really, really bad concentrated form of some really nasty stuff. Naphtha is a eye and nasal irritant, okay? Now, here's the problem. If you take any 3 bonds, okay, one bond is like H2O. That's a bond, but it's only one bond. H2O is water. Hydrogen, 2 parts, and oxygen, okay? 1 part. So if you have 3, it's always going to cause cancer. Always, hands down. 3 means cancer, okay? So here's the problem. You had a fire that creates heat. You got 3 chemicals in there working together, but even 2 of them with oxygen, you got a problem. So you got xylene and naphtha mixing together, which will cause a whole nother problem. All right, toluene. Toluene is in paint thinner, okay, and glue and nail polish. Like when you walk into a nail polish salon, you get a diluted version of that stuff, but it stinks so bad you can't even breathe in there. And you're like, how do these people even work in here? Yeah, well, let me tell you this story about a friend of mine. Like I said, he was using what's called aircraft remover, and they were cleaning houseboats with it and re-wax them and stuff. He did that for 1 summer. I didn't meet him until after that. He was about 21 years old, 22 years old. And he gave me an opportunity. I needed a second job. And he gave me an opportunity to work at a brake installation place for cars, brakes. He taught me how to do back brakes. He was in a band and he played bass. He was one of the nicest guys you ever wanted to meet. I'm sure he's dead now. He told me at that time he only had about 6 months, maybe a year left to live his life. All because he used that aircraft remover, and he said, don't you ever forget this chemical, methyl ethyl ketone. He said, there's a lot of them that are bad out there. He said, this one is one of them, and don't ever breathe it in. So I remembered that. And the very least I can do is to stop something that might hurt other people, because here's what it does. It eats your lungs, people. All these chemicals eat holes in your lungs, and you do not regrow lungs. You will not just be an asthmatic for the rest of your life. You'll need oxygen and you'll die early. This guy, he told me, he says, understand, he says, sometimes I'll take a break and stuff. He says, understand, I only have 1/2 of one lung left. He says one lung is dead. The other one is half dead. Okay? So people, I'm telling you the least that I can do for his memory and to stop people, because I've actually had to sign papers that says I will haul this stuff safely and that kind of stuff. I know what I'm talking about. Okay? It's in the book. You know what I'm saying? It's in the book, and just like I was saying, I've been carrying this book since it was this book. So, I'll get to your comments in a bit. So, here's what I got for you. You also need to understand that it's a skin irritant. You need a long sleeve jacket, okay? A long sleeve jacket, something that's possibly waterproof. Better than this, you want to get a long sleeve jacket that's waterproof, and you could even wear a rain jacket, a plastic one of those throwaway ones over it, so that the stuff doesn't saturate your jacket. This is when the black rain comes, okay? So, and it's going to kill the grass, and it's going to kill the trees, and it's going to kill the plants. I think, like I said, that I think the president needs to talk to the chemists, and the chemists need to bend his ear and say, and they'll tell him the truth, because these people are lying. If they'll tell him the truth, they say, nope, it causes this, and I would recommend to evacuate for 4 miles all the way around the smoke plume, which would be Houston. I think they need to evacuate Houston. This is just me. Fine. I have no pull. Don't listen to me. I'm just a dumb truck driver, right? Okay, well, I'm trained in how to handle these materials. You don't breathe it in, period. Okay? And so, like I was saying, this stuff will kill you now or it will kill you later, kind of thing. And it's coming back down with the rain. So, like I said, it's gonna kill trees. It's gonna kill your yard. It's gonna kill plants. Might even kill your animals when they drink the water, because they go out there and they lap up water when they're going out and use the restroom or whatever when you're walking them. And you won't be able to stop them, and they won't know the difference. Okay. So I would also keep some type of waterproof shoes, because it's about touching your skin. Now, here's the secret that tankers know. Okay. You need to keep on hand, depending on how this chemical works. I know that it works with several types of really nasty chemicals. I don't know that it will work with this, but I would still keep it on hand, knowing what I know. Get a gallon of white vinegar. White vinegar seems to completely and instantly stop burning of a few of the nastier chemicals, you know. I'm trying to think, caustic. Anybody that runs tankers that understands caustic will know I know what I'm talking about when I even mention caustic. That's the nastiest of it. Listen, I've hauled it. I've been there, people. So just understand white vinegar. Just all you have to know is keep white vinegar. And if anything gets on your skin, it starts to irritate you or whatever, you can't put it in your eyes now. You need to flush your eyes. You need to keep an eye wash handy, 2 or 3 of them, to be able to flush your eyes out. But white vinegar will wash your skin off. Like I was saying, keep some kind of a hat, because you don't want it going into your skin at all. And I was just using this as an example. This actually has holes in the side, so I would wrap the thing in plastic. So what I would do, honestly, is I would leave for about 2 weeks until the rain drops, till that black rain comes down. And it's going to make your car's going to be nasty. All that stuff's going to be nasty. There's tons of it in the air. I know it's hard to understand. I know it's hard to get your mind wrapped around that something heavier than air could be up there. It's up there. It's already dropped some rocks the size of golf balls. One guy said he found some in his yard, or one woman said she found some in her yard and it looked like charcoal. That's what she said it looked like. That's the burnt part that coalesced together when it cooled. The rest of it is gas. It's going to come down. It's a gas cloud. It's not completely burnt. It's not like gasoline when you burn your car and it burns clean. These are chemicals that they use a little bit of to make gasoline, but they also use it to make nail polish and other stuff. This is not just gasoline. It's not even close. It was never mixed as gasoline. These are the separate ingredients in separate tanks that some of it's used to make gasolines, but some of it's just storage. It's a storage facility. It comes off, the crude tankers pull into the jetties, okay? And then they hook up pipes to them. And then it pumps it to the plant. They offload to the pipeline that goes to the oil tank, right? It's pumped up, into the tank. Some of them have, floating caps, but these kind of things have seal caps. It's all about what's, dangerous chemicals in there. And whether they can be even let into the air. The tankers that bring it in, they bring the nasty stuff, like this stuff. And because that's crude oil coming off those tankers. The tankers bring in the nasty stuff. So they have to be pumped off so that nothing escapes. They have a hookup that's just for fumes, okay, in the tank, and then they have the hookup that goes off of it, and the hookup at the top that kind of makes it go off of it, but not by compression, because it'll explode. And you have to be grounded and all that stuff. It's kind of hard to explain. I can't teach you what I know. I can tell you the effects of it. And I can tell you that, like I said, when you pump off into that place, you have to have full chemical gear in case you bust a hose or one of the seals leaks, and you have to use a steel bucket to catch anything that might drip anything off the back, not plastic, because plastic makes sparks inside of it. I know that doesn't make sense either, but just static electricity makes sparks. So that's why you can't wear any static making material. You can't just go in there with nylons on or something that makes static electricity. You have to watch and know what to use, and you have to have fire retardant clothing too in the plants. And some of these plants, you don't even touch your own stuff, even though you know how to pump it off. They say, no, you go over there. Our team of specialists is going to go over here and fill up your tank. You go in that guard shack, you sit there with your fire retardant clothing and chemical wear, and you come back when we tell you it's done and everything's clear. Okay? This is some nasty stuff. This is their worst nightmare. And I can tell you the after effects of that even further. These people, the woman that was crying on TV, let me tell you what they probably told her yesterday. Or she was upset. Of course she's upset. She's going to probably lose her job. She didn't do anything wrong. I'll tell you why they're going to lose their job. Let me tell you what's going to happen next. First, all this stuff's going to happen. The rain's going to come down. It's going to cause all kinds of problems. It's going to be really bad. Okay. Then the effects of people saying they're at the doctor's office and they need their bills paid. Then they're going to say they got cancer and this and that. I've got one coming in here. Rejected. Check this out. So, at that point, this company is going to do what they always do. They're going to claim bankruptcy and they're going to change names. It's going to be a completely different company. Own the same place, different name. Okay? You're not going to get money out of them. Those places have already been under lawsuits. They said that just by, they said that the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality and Harris County in previous years, according to court documents, have had all kinds of legal issues from spills. This will be the grandfather of all their spills, and this will tank them. No pun intended, but tank them. So, you watch what happens. Watch my words. And I'm going to make that video on black rain, and I'm telling you now, before it even rained. How do I know these things? What goes up must come down. These chemicals are going to come down in the rain, and they're going to affect people. It's going to affect their skin, their eyes, their nose, their throat. If you have any dizziness, if you have any problems breathing, if you have any problems with your eyes burning, if you feel headache, this one guy, he complained. He said, I had a headache, I couldn't breathe, and it felt like something had stopped my spine all the way down my spine. It's something just like took and stiffened my spine. These are neurotoxins, people. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, don't tell me I'm telling you the sky's falling. I'll tell you the sky's falling after the black rain is falling. Right now, people are being affected by it right now. They closed schools because they wanted to limit their liability. They wanted to say, oh, well, they'll have to blame it on the chemical plant, not us, because we didn't make them go to that school in that facility and be there, and while they were there, they got hurt on our property. You see what I'm saying? Couldn't leave fast enough. See what I'm saying? They've opened schools. They don't, listen though, this is still bad. They can put all the monitors out there they want. They can tell you what they want. I'm telling you, based on this, from day one, they should have had a half-mile immediate and then a 1-mile evacuation in place, even for one truckload. We're talking about the whole tank that takes God knows how many truckloads to fill it up. 50, 60 truckloads, and it's actually 7 tanks of it, and it's up there. It's just waiting to fall on Houston. So I'm telling you the truth. You can make comments. I'm giving you an educated answer. And I'm telling you, if you want to go further, they need to get in touch with those damn chemists. Nothing against them. They're the ones that know. These people are lying. Okay? If she was up there crying, it's because she knew she's going to lose her job. Because they're fixing to go bankrupt and they're not going to rehire her. And so she's going to have to deal with the public later in her life, in her general life. Aren't you the one that... And she doesn't have the money to hide from them. Okay? So she's going to be the fall guy of this whole thing. So will the other people. The fire department will still be there. The other people will still be there that are around that complex. And the people who own it will sell it or bankrupt it and change the name and open up in business tomorrow. That's what they do. That's why tanker companies change their name when there's anything that makes them go to where they're losing money. Okay? So it will cause a type of paralysis in your spine. It's happening to this guy. It's happening to people who are making comments. He was on the news and they interviewed him and then they just glance over it. So I'm gonna get some comments. I'll answer your comments now. Hold on a second. I'll back up here. Okay. I'll go back here to where he said it burned and therefore it's no longer toluene. No, it was not a complete burn. It didn't even come close to burning it. It pushed it up into the air. And then, so, Jorge Guerrera, who lives 3 miles away, told CBS News, I've seen ash fall out, big pieces of ash, black pieces of ash. Yeah, it's almost like charcoal. That's not even the rain that's coming and the chemicals that are going to drop. Guerrera said, I've seen it on my cars. I've seen it on the front porch, on the sidewalk. Does that scare you? It does. It does. What scares me more is what we don't see. That what you don't see has not even happened yet. It's up there in that cloud, okay? Because even though there's heavy stuff up there, there's a lot of light stuff up there too, and it's going to come down with rain, and it's not going to bond with the water. It will actually displace the water. As it comes down, it's going to be like a fog that comes down. It's going to gas. Let's see. Toluene stays low. If toluene did go up, the current winds are not keeping it there. Yeah, okay, it's keeping a lot of stuff up there. But see, ash, sure. Warehouse fires in the past deposits ash on cars across Houston. And then let's see. Colby Bissett also put, will some sensible people be affected? Sure. No, not sensitive people. That's what I was going to say too, but that's okay. I'll talk about sensitive people in a second. But if you've lived in Deer Park all your life, this event is the least of the causes of cancer's problems that could arrive. Oh no, it's going to cause cancer, regardless of what you had before. CBS website has the typos, LOL, YO. Okay. That's funny though, JD. CBS website has the typos. Pasadena has a name there, Stinkadena. Yeah, yeah, I'm over this fear-mongering stuff. Okay, you're panicking, honestly. Safe travels though, bro. You're lucky to be free on the road. Sweet life. Sweet life and a rolling lazy boy is the way I should have taken. Okay. It was a giant tank of naphtha that was burning. Naphtha of any various volatile, highly flammable liquid hydrocarbon mixtures used chiefly as solvents, and dilutants and as raw materials for conversion to gasoline. Okay. Naphtha was the name originally applied to the more volatile kinds of petroleum issuing from the ground in the Baku district of Azerbaijan and Iran. Yeah, so no, I'm not in any way fear-mongering. I'm doing my job. This is my job, people. I signed countless papers. I've used, every time that I go into a plant, I've watched and been certified for their safety for their plant. Okay? In the event of an emergency, and this was an emergency and is still an ongoing situation that they will admit that it's still ongoing. They haven't even seen the effects of it yet. They admit to that. Okay? If I have a spill that's related to my truck, this book tells me what I'm supposed to tell people. Okay? And just like I'm telling you, it's still my job to tell the public about a spill, even if it's not my truck. Even if it's the guy next to me, or if it's a tank farm down in Texas. It would be irresponsible of me for me not to share my knowledge on this. Do you understand? That's not fear-mongering, that's doing my damn job. Like I said, this book, Guide 153, okay, I'm going to read this to you. Okay. Potential hazards. Health. Says toxic, inhalation, ingestion, or skin contact with material may cause severe injury or death. The or death part, kind of important. Debunk me now. Alright, so, but JD put, any spill has to be reported to protect groundwater mostly, but for any reason. Yeah, what's for the public, it's to communicate the risk. The whole reason that you put placards on a truck or a tank or anything, it says to communicate the risk. I am currently on this video communicating the risk of this event in Houston, Texas. So I'm gonna read this part of it again though. Okay, I'll say it again. Toxic, inhalation, ingestion, or skin contact, even skin contact with material may cause severe injury or death. Okay, death, people? Yeah, kind of serious. Kind of a good reason for me to do a video, right? It's right here in the book, right? I wish I could zoom in on this part. Can I? Let's see if I can make the screen read it. That's where it says death. Don't know if you can read that part that says death. maybe. I really wish I could make this thing focus, but it won't. That's all right. That's where it says death. Okay, it's page 244, 153 guide for the people following along with your books. So, let's see. You made a comment here. Beer goggled. Yeah, it looked messed up, but that's all right. Hey, it's the book. You can get a book. You can go to a truck stop and buy one. All right, so only the certain ones have these. Only certain truck stop have these. Some of them have a crappy little book that I've got also. It says hazardous materials, whatever. No, it needs to be the emergency response guidebook in order to tell you. So I'll read further, okay? This is not my knowledge. This is book, okay? That's a good idea. Yeah, it's good to have one. It's good to have safety goggles that are gas type goggles. Not just goggles from Home Depot, but the most protection you can get is better than even just regular glasses would be these type, but then they still have those holes. Next up from this would be a set of goggles that seals. Next up would be a full big set of goggles that it looks like you're snorkeling or something. That's the ones I'm talking about, okay? And you need to get a breather, all right? And some kind of a hat, and I would wrap this with a plastic bag, a garbage bag, and then tuck it up under and wear it, just like that. And then take the bag off and toss it. You might keep it for testing later so they know what you're dealing with. But okay, so I'm gonna go further though, and you know, gloves, anything on your skin, long sleeves, wear some boots, people. I would leave Houston for 2 weeks. I would leave Houston for 2 weeks. I would go somewhere else with fresh air, start over if you have to. I'm being honest. I think that they need to evacuate Houston for a couple of weeks because it's already affecting people. And that cloud is holding it down, but the cloud is, that big thick smoke up there is what's got all of that gas in it, and it's coming down. It's coming back down. What goes up must come down. It's going to come down in the form of black rain. So I'll go further. Okay, contact with molten substance may cause severe burns to skin and eyes. Okay, well, of course that makes sense. Avoid any skin contact, which is what I just told you. Avoid any skin contact. Any. Okay? That's why I told you about the vinegar, if you did, and that's why I told you, but it may not even work with this stuff, but white vinegar. Get a gallon of white vinegar. Walmart has it. All the grocery stores have it. Buy you some white vinegar. That may, like I said, counteract the substance from being on your skin when it comes back down out of the rain. Let's see. And this is the thing too. Effects of contact or inhalation may be delayed. You may not know it's happening to you until later. Okay? And you heard what I said about what happened to the one guy. It felt like his spine was getting stiff and he was having a headache and a hard time breathing. The other guy said his wife was having a hard time breathing, but his daughter was bleeding through her nose. Different people, different subjects. And I was different side effects. And I'm going to tell you this. The guy was talking about only people with sensitive to this stuff. No, I'll tell you. You know, people are going to say, oh, they're just affected because they have asthma. All right? No, they're affected because they're people. And people aren't meant to breathe this type of chemical, ever. You know, you ever heard of lethal injection? This is like lethal respiration or lethal ingestion. Either way, you breathe it in. That's inhalation. But ingestion, same thing. It gets into your body. Your eyes, your nose, and your ears, and your skin. But mainly your skin, not so much your ears, but anything. Let's see. Usually will be a long-term effect, not immediate. And if it's immediate, you're dead. Yeah, there's some immediate effects to this. It could kill you, just like I read up here. I'll read that again. Inhalation, which is breathing it in when it comes back down even. Ingestion, which is if you eat something that has on it. Or skin, so if you're just making a burger outside, hey, we're just grilling out. Who's to know how many particles it takes to kill you? All right. Or skin contact with material may cause severe injury or death. That's it right there. So I'll read some more here. Contact with metals may involve flammable hydrogen gas. Yeah, it could have let off hydrogen whenever it was trying to burn the metal that was in the tanks. And it says, call emergency response telephone number on shipping paper first. If shipping paper not available or no answer, refer to appropriate telephone number listed on the inside of back cover. It says that for everything. As an immediate precautionary measure, isolate spill or leak area in all directions for at least 50 meters, 150 feet for liquids, and at least 25 meters, 75 feet for solids. Okay? And then that's under regular chemical spill. When it comes to a fire, it's further. And either way, this is the smallest of the guides for it. This is, it's one of the larger ones, but there's also 130. There's a few different guides that are relevant to this chemical. So even guide 130 says on a large spill, start out with 1,000 feet, and on a fire, a half mile in all directions. Also consider initial evacuation for 800 meters, half mile in all directions. That's the initial one. So on this one, on the fire, it says see, you have to look at the whole table on that one, and it says the isolation distance shown under public safety. That's because as necessary, in the downwind direction, how it's going. If tank, rail, or truck is involved in a fire, isolate for 800 meters. That's a half mile in all directions. Also, consider initial evacuation for 800 meters, 800 meters, a half mile in all directions. It goes from a half mile to a mile. So, these people, one guy said that he felt like he was dying. That was his comment to the news. Let's see here. I'll go back here. Usually will be a long-term effect, not immediate, and if it is immediate, you're dead. I'm reading that again because people need to hear that. This will kill you, and it will burn holes in your lungs, and you'll have problems for the rest of your life if you live. One little piece of coal or asbestos bounces around in the lungs for years. That's what I'm talking about. Scars them up over time and takes time to find out. Yep. Then that smoke could turn into a hard particle. And yeah, some of the hard particles are going to fall. That's the burnt ones. The ones that aren't burnt are going to come back down in that water. And it's going to get to your skin. And it gets into you the same as if you breathe it in through your skin. This stuff is evil. Just the residue off the sides of the containers is bad. This is worse than that. It's the chemical in the rain, and the water's just going to bring it down. It's not going to bond with that water. The water's just going to push it around. That's it. It's not exactly water soluble because it's a chemical. Okay? Anything oil based too, but some of it's not oil based, but anything oil based, these are concentrated chemicals. It's like if you use peroxide at your house, it's diluted. You can use it brushing your teeth, you could use it, clean your ears out, whatever. It's diluted. These chemicals are the non-diluted type. If you take non-diluted peroxide and put it on your hand, it'll eat right through your hand and you will die. Okay? What you get is diluted, right? The chemicals that are in your shampoo, they are so diluted. If you took the original chemical that they keep in these kind of tank farms and use that on your body, it will eat through your body. This stuff is going to be coming down like the worst kind of acid rain. They have no idea. So it's going to have effects later. It's going to be getting your eyes and lungs. Remember when the Twin Towers fell and they had all that dust that was asbestos, and it was just dust, but it was the asbestos that was made in the building and stuff from when they, the type of sheetrock and stuff that they used in the buildings, and of course lead paint and everything else they used. I don't know that they used too much lead paint on that side, but all the chemicals that were used in coating the steel and everything else on that building turned into dust. It was pulverized, dust in Spanish, polvo. It's Latin. Pulverized. Such a small particulate matter that when they breathed it in, it was able to be breathed in. And a lot of the firefighters in New York are having health issues, and some have died from the breathing in of those chemicals. The accident, the towers falling didn't kill them. The after effects of that chemical All that dust that everything had covered with. That's what got to them. This chemical is coming down as a mist. It's going to come down like if you spray something in your air to make the air stop smelling, like if you put out Febreze or something like that. It smells for a minute when you're there, and then you don't smell it, then you come back, you might smell it some more or whatever. It's just like that, only it's coming down in rain. But it's going to be a mist of its own. It's going to cause black rain. It's going to be all over the cars, all over the sidewalks, all over the streets, all over buildings and everything. And I would say I would not want to be around, because you're still going to be breathing that stuff in, only it's going to be in a vapor form. It's going to be more likely to go into your lungs because of the rain. Okay? And the steam from the rain is going to help it to float in the air just long enough for you to breathe it. You're going to see it happen. I think that they should evacuate Houston and everywhere within 4 miles of wherever that cloud has been. I would say about 4 miles out, no matter how and what direction. And all around Pasadena, Baytown, Deer Park, of course Houston, but I wrote down some, that's just off the top of my head. I wrote down some of the other names. It's just messed up. And they're always looking for benzene, hexene, toluene, but Channelview area, Baytown area, LaPorte, Texas, I wouldn't be there. I would not be there. You couldn't pay me enough to be there. And it's coming back down. It's going to be worse when it comes back down. It's going to be as if the towers fell and all that stuff comes down. Does that make sense now? Do you see what I'm saying? Like it's going to come down just like that. Or it's going to come down as black rain. And when it hits your skin, it's going to be bad for you. Okay? When it does rain, I would leave Houston. Straight up. I wouldn't drive anywhere home, or I would get in that car and go. And turn on your inside vent. Make sure you switch that little switch that goes to inside air on your air conditioner. Okay? On these trucks, there's a button down here. Switch it to inside recirculated air. It'll be like a recirculating symbol. So that you're not getting air from outside. So that you're getting air from just inside the car. If you need air conditioning, or if you blow it at all. I wouldn't even blow it at all if I didn't have to. It'd keep from anything that might be in the vents from blowing on you. There's a few things like that I would do. If you know where your intake for your air is on your car, for your air conditioning, like the vents out front, I would cover them up with cardboard, until the point where it does rain, so that even the dust and mist doesn't get in your car. If you have a filter in your car, change your filter once you get out of there. There's a filter in your dash. A lot of these cars for air conditioning, change your filter. Let's see, and then wash your hands afterwards, and if you have to use white vinegar. Let's see. Someone said if you listen long enough, you will hear reporters coughing. Yeah, that's true. Some said 7 tanks caught fire. Now how many you hear? No, it's 8. Then they wanted to say it was 7 and not 8. It was actually, one of them was empty. So it was a total of 6 that actually were affected, but even the empty one caught fire because it was, it's more dangerous. People don't understand this. Like, let's say you have to have a muffler welded on a car or something like that. Usually the guy wants you to have your tank half full at least, because the fumes in your gas tank, if you have any kind of a leak, are more dangerous than the gasoline itself, because they're more explosive and ignitable. Okay, you're better off having a full tank of gas than, because there's no fumes to be had in there, than low gas. Let's see here. The main effect on inhaling xylene vapor is depression of the central nervous system. That's why I said that this is a nerve agent. Okay, basically. Let's see, the CNS with symptoms such as headache, dizziness, nausea, and vomiting. Yeah, and it's going to burn holes in your lungs while it's doing it. It's not just a temporary thing. An exposure of 100 parts per million. Okay, ppm is parts per million is why I said it like that, people. He put ppm, it's parts per million. Per million. So I'll say it again. At an exposure of 100 parts per million, one may experience nausea or a headache. At exposure of between 200 to 500 parts per million of a particle, symptoms can include feeling high, dizziness, weakness, irritability, vomiting, and slowed reaction time. Yeah. Also, you might feel uh, there's a word. You might even get experience. Oh man, I'm trying to think of the word. It's where you a lot of yeah, put same. Kenneth Braskett put jaded. Um, no, you may experience where like things are turning, like your equilibrium is by the water in your ears of your body, your equilibrium, but as if you're turning, and then you may feel like you don't know if up is down or down is up when you're driving. It's just like when pilots fly into a cloud and they may fly out the other side upside down because they experience oh man, I can't think of the name. I'll think of the name and put it in the description there. Vertigo. Vertigo is the word, brother. Thank you. Orientation is vertigo. Yeah, you may experience vertigo. You may experience, like I said, your eyes are going to be irritated and stuff, but that one girl's nose is bleeding. Let's go with the effects that these people are telling you they're having. Your nose might bleed. You know, your spine might feel like it's being grabbed and made solid and you can't even move, and then you may have headaches, and you may have a situation where you feel like you're dying. These people made comments, and one told a reporter they felt like they were dying. I'll have to find that news report. If you feel like you are dying, it's horrible. So it's not just people who are asthmatic. Don't blame the symptoms on weak people. Blame the symptom on the damn problem, people. Get what I'm saying? Because when the weak die, that's the canary in the coal mine. The canary wants oxygen too. They used to have, okay, I'll explain that. In coal mines, the coal miner used to walk down there with a cage and set it down. It had a canary bird in it. And when the oxygen levels were low, for any reason, that canary would die. And everybody would look over at the canary every once in a while. Hey, canary still good? Okay, fine. But if the canary died, they wouldn't even grab the bird. The bird's dead. They would grab whatever they needed, pickaxes, whatever, and they would pick their way out, get their way out, and they would run towards the exit. Run, people. Because there was no oxygen, or even low oxygen, and it could be a problem. So they could get another canary and bring in air or vent the place out, and see, hey, is there a problem still? So these people who are asthmatic are really the canary in the coal mine. When you start hearing anybody say that there's a problem, you have to believe them and know there's a problem. Because just because it didn't kill you yet doesn't mean it's not deadly, and it could kill you later, just from what it's already done to your lungs. Just like that friend of mine. He didn't die when he was cleaning houseboats with aircraft cleaner. He didn't know anything about respirators and stuff. He was just trying to make money over the summer. Nobody taught him. Okay? I'm teaching you. I'm telling you. I would be getting the hell out of Houston area, and out of Baytown, and out of all of those places that are anywhere. Actually, Baytown's a little bit east of there. I'd have to see where the smoke plume went. They said it was going west and then it went east. I'm telling you, get the hell out of there. I would be out of Deer Park. You couldn't pay me enough to be there. Let's see. Ken's pretty handy to have around. Howdy. Yeah, Kenneth, appreciate you putting vertigo. Yeah, I just couldn't think. I speak a few languages. I did a horrible job. I do speak better Spanish than that, but I feel like I did a horrible job. I could have enunciated better. And at one time I used the word caliente instead of calor. I'm upset because this is hurting people, and there's no damn reason for this. In good faith, we bring them chemicals and put it in their plant and say, okay, you have it now. You carry the flag now. And then this happened. Now I understand it was an accident. I understand all these things. But it's like, stop lying to the people about it. Go by the book. They're not going by the book. Go by the damn book. Tell them about it. And that's why I was so pissed off. Because I should have wrote down in Spanish. I should have wrote down a whole thing and read it. That's what even the friend of mine who speaks Spanish did. He wrote down a few things, and we're trying to convey what they need to do. That they need to leave the area. Don't just sit there like a frog in a boiling pot of water until you die. You need to leave that area. And don't go back for a few days until, like I said, it's going to take a bit for this to come out, but It's going to kill the grass. It's going to kill the trees. Probably kill your dog that drank the water. It's going to mess up your car. It's going to be nasty. It's going to get into the streams and tributaries. It's going to kill the fish. Regardless of the chemical that they use to put out the fire. I'm talking about just what comes down with rain. It's going to be all over the place. It is in those clouds. It is coming down. That's all I got to say. Debunk it. Do what you want. Don't argue with me. Argue with the damn book. And talk to the chemists who made these chemicals, who were trying to make something good, and ask them, say, what is the effects of these chemicals on people? And then you'll know they should be evacuating. They should actually have already evacuated at least 4 miles around Deer Park. Then they should next, now since the smoke plume moved, they should go 4 miles in a radius around the smoke plume, which will really be 2 miles, 4 miles this way and 4 miles that way, each side of the smoke plume as it traveled. And anywhere it is now. And when the rain comes back down, let that shit rain down, then go in and clean it up, and then say, okay, people, come on back in, it's a good. I would say there's a lot of people who are in the high rises. They're putting it on Twitter. They're showing videos. Oh, this is not good or whatever. They're in Houston doing these videos in Houston saying the cloud is over us. And look at where it's coming from. They show all the way back to Deer Park. It's not a Deer Park problem anymore now. It's a total encompassing area of Houston and everywhere that smoke has traveled. It's coming down. It's not going to stay up there. You think it's just magically, oh, it's going to just fade away. It's going to be okay. You're talking about xylene, naphtha, toluene, and they're worried about those other chemicals that I talked about, benzene, hexane. Look, this is no joke, people. This is not a joke. Have you ever heard of when, like Saddam Hussein, when he gassed his people? There's gas over Houston. What do? You get the hell out. Don't be stupid. Don't be stuck on stupid. Oh, well, I gotta work here till what? Till what? Till it kills you? You know what I'm saying? I think that some grown-up ass people need to put their damn pants on and stand up and say, the big boy pants, and stand up and say, okay, you know what? Before this rain comes down, maybe we would advise you as, officials that you can have a voluntary evacuation. At least give them a damn heads up. And then say, anybody staying, because they're going to overwhelm the hospitals. What happens when you got 1,000 people that have never been asthmatic in their life and they're going to the hospitals and you can't get in the hospital? I'm sorry, we're full right now. If you'll come back tomorrow when you're not dying. Anybody want to talk about that? Anybody want to give me a hard time about that? Look, I can take it, people, because I base what I know on what I've been taught, and it comes out of this book, and this book talks about the damn chemicals they have. Somebody who made them chemicals, someone in power needs to go talk to the chemist before the rain comes down, and he'd say, is this guy, does he know what the hell he's talking about? What are the effects of this chemical? Well, if it touches your skin, hold on, rejected. If it touches your skin, then, you can have a problem. But I'm fixing to have to get off this thing because I'm going to get about 10 more phone calls. People, you're talking to a man that does this for a living. I told you I'm going to get 10. I got to go. I'm going to get off this thing. Share, like, subscribe, tell it. I'm not telling you the sky is falling. I'm telling you what's going on in the sky. There's a difference. Let's see. I have to go too. Thanks for update. JD, put it on Twitter. Put it on Twitter, man. I ain't even got time. Okay, if you don't mind. You see what I'm getting beat up here on, with the calls. Can you put this on Twitter? Thank you, brother. Everybody else, thanks for showing up. Kenneth, make a comment so I can find you. And I'll check out your channel and whatever you're doing. And the other guy in here, too. I don't mind. He put a few things. Colby Bissett, when you get back. Y'all stay safe. I'm going to get off this thing. I got to work. Somebody still got to haul that kind of stuff. And so, since you don't have a rubber suit and rubber gloves and rubber boots and PPE that's proper, like goggles and a hard hat and a shield and safety glasses and the special kind of tape to wrap your gloves to your suit to make it seal up, I recommend a hat with a black plastic bag. I would recommend getting some goggles that seal around your face. I recommend getting a respirator, and I recommend getting some kind of boots where none of this stuff's going to touch your skin. I'd recommend get the hell out of Houston. and the surrounding area, and definitely even Deer Park. They're still dealing with chemicals down there. People are complaining. Listen to the people complaining. Don't listen to me. Look at the comments on these videos. Okay? So, y'all stay safe. I'm going to get off this thing. I got to get to work. I'm out. Share this with everybody you talk to. I'm out. Peace.